Hi, I'm Annie Botticelli, and this is the Storyteller Forecast for Aquarius for January 2018. Go to my website, anniehelpsyou.com, to check out my new blog series, Full Moon Reveal and Release Ceremonies, and also check out my other blog series on making powerful new moon wishes for each new moon. You can go to my new website, cozybysweetstarlight.com, and get a written astrology report for each sign, which is something I don't do anywhere else. And I focus on different things than I talk about in the videos. And I also add in great reads for each sign for each month. So check out cozybysweetstarlight.com too. So what's going on in the month of January? This is a big powerhouse of a month. We've got two full moons. They're both super moons. We've got a blue moon. We have a total lunar eclipse. I'm going to go into crazy amounts of detail in the general report that comes after this sign-specific report. So definitely you want to listen to that because this is one of the most powerful months of the whole year. But first I want to talk about something specific to Aquarius. Of very notable interest is your ruler, right at the beginning of the month on the 2nd, your ruler Uranus is going direct. So when our ruler goes direct, it awakens things. It brings things that we're working on inside out into the open. And there's not a better month in this whole year for bringing things out into the open. This is an amazing month for launches, for getting stuff done, for big moves, for big decisions. And lots of things will come to you even if you're not looking for them with these eclipses. So just note that you are more powerful with your efforts when your ruler is direct. And that's happening as of now. So if things have seemed like they were having trouble getting going, you might notice more momentum now that your ruler is waking up. Okay, so we have that. We also have the continuation of the Leo Aquarius eclipse series. Whenever we have an eclipse series in our sign, it's very important. You know, this is taking on critical mass for your evolution and for changes in your life. So your eclipse, the eclipse in your sign, is until next month, February 15th. It'll be at 27 degrees of Aquarius. But this first eclipse in Leo is still very important because it's still activating this polarity. I'm calling the theme of the month Relationship Thunder. And this is specific for Aquarius because there's a big focus, especially for you early and some middle degree placements for this eclipse on your relationship sector. For the rest of you middle and late degree placements, you're going to have this eclipse occur in the 6th house, okay? So that for you, the theme of the month is your routine rocked, because whatever you're doing every day, there's something very likely that's going to change and end. With endings come beginnings though, okay? So, you know, when we are ushering something new in, we have to end something else to make room for it. To figure out if you have an early, middle, or late degree placement, you just have to see where you're at in the 30 days of the sign. So the first 10 days of the sign is early, the middle degree placements are the second 10 days, and the late degree placements are the last 10 days. You can do this for your rising sign as well. 0 to 9 degrees is early, 10 to 19 is middle, and 20 to 29 is late. So you can figure out where you're at in there so you can see how we're placing you with where this eclipse is going to hit. When we have lunar eclipses, we have endings. This is going to be a very dramatic, very emotional ending. It could be bittersweet. Maybe it's an ending you wanted, but there's an energy of bittersweetness to it because there's high emotion. All full moons carry major emotion, for better or worse. But this is a super moon. That means that the moon is closer to the earth and the gravitational effects are stronger. When you see the moon, you'll be like, holy crap, it looks really big. You ever notice that? Sometimes you look at a full moon and you're like, whoa, what's happening right now? It's probably a supermoon. And this month we have 2 supermoons. The only supermoons in the whole year we have this month. At the beginning of the month and the end of the month. So the eclipse on the 31st, which is at 11 degrees of Leo, is a total lunar eclipse. And it will be visible to many people in the world. So check the charts to see if you're in that range. Something about a relationship is going to be ending, or a relationship itself is going to be ending for you early and some middle degree placements. This could be as simple as you're getting a divorce, your partner leaves, you leave your partner, you have an important client leave. you leave working with a practitioner of importance. That is going to be very common at this time. But that's not the only way this can manifest. This can also manifest as the ending of a chapter within an important relationship. And this can be a very wonderful thing also. Sometimes endings are scary, but they turn out to be for the better. And when the eclipse is closing something out, it's making room for something new for you. When it comes to this idea of a chapter closing within a relationship, you could be working on something that you're trying to end in a relationship, getting into a new dynamic. For those of you out there doing conscious work, conscious energy work on yourselves, healing, this could be the end of a way of relating to somebody, and this could be an end to certain degrees of codependency, and enabling and, not having synergy. So how you're relating to someone is going to end if the actual relationship itself isn't. And this can be very subtle. Maybe if you're not looking for it, you wouldn't even notice it. But if you are looking for it, you're more likely to see it. These eclipses sometimes work on very deep layers, and that's why they're not always conscious. Sometimes they're very obvious, sometimes they're not. And of course, it depends on how they're hitting in your actual chart. We talk about your solar chart or your transit chart when we look at horoscopes, but we don't see how it's hitting you exactly with your planets. We wouldn't know that without looking at your personal chart. So the intensity could be amped up depending on what planets are getting hit off or angles in your chart are getting hit off by the eclipse. So there's a range of notable effects, Whenever it's eclipse time, you'll notice that either you're being profoundly affected or other people are having stuff going on. You're like, what is going on in the world that all these people have all these things going on? A lot of times that's at eclipse time. So you're either the person supporting those people having changes, big changes, or you're a person having the big changes, or both. You're holding space for other people while this is happening for you. So I will hold the vision that if there's something that you've been working on to shift in your relationship space, that this can usher in those changes. Okay, but just know that it's probably going to be emotional, but there is new energy that's going to come in to fill in this space. So for the rest of you middle and late degree placements, we talk about your routine being rocked. This means your 6th house is being affected. This can also be a health crisis. Many people can have a health thing come up, something very notable with their health come up during this time. They can have a culmination of something, a surgery. It could be an ending to a problem that you had. It could be the beginning of a problem that you didn't know was going on. So it could be very much health related, but it's definitely during this cycle going to bring more light into the hidden realms. Remember, these full moons bring things that were hidden to light. So if something's happening under the surface, it could come out. If you've been searching deep for an answer, you could find a resolution to a health problem and it could end. This also can relate to your work. So there could be an ending at work, someone leaves, you leave your work, the ending of a contract, some notable occurrence or drama or fulfillment or accomplishment at work. This could also have to do with a pet. This could be an ending to an issue that a pet was having. This could be a pet transitioning. This could be a milestone for a pet. Something closing or shifting as it relates to an animal in your life. So those are the sectors. And those of you in the middle, you might have both. You might have personal relationship and the 6th house, health, daily routine. This is also the sector of diet. So you could be making a dramatic change to your diet. And if you are wanting to make positive change for your diet, this is really, really great time because usually diet issues involve some addictions. So we're like addicted to something that's not good for us. And this period of time is amazing for ending the addiction, ending it at its root cause, and stepping into a new way of living. It could be a health regimen, it could be a diet, it could be anything, working with different practitioners, either mainstream or alternative. So be looking out for the ways those might show up. So those are the things most on my mind for Aquarius. Now I want to talk very in depth about why I think this is the most crazy powerful month of the year, what you can expect, the dates of all of these different occurrences and the energies that go along with them. So we're going to go into all of that now. So the theme for the month of January for all signs is Once in a Blue Moon. This is such a power-packed month. It is so crazy. I hope that I can do it justice. There are so many things to talk about. And one of those things is a blue moon, which also happens to be a supermoon, which also happens to be a total lunar eclipse. So we'll get to that. But there are a lot of things about this month that are so important to know. The first piece of information is that this month will truly be like a clean slate and a launching pad as we think of a new year to be. Many Januaries in recent times, if you've been listening to my reports for years, you've heard me talking about this very often. Many Januaries are covered in a Mercury or another personal planet retrograde. And so we start out this new year with everyone expecting there to be this burst of new energy. But when there's the shroud in retrograde, it doesn't work that way. So this year is actually energetically new and open. It is completely free and clear of personal planet retrogrades after January 12th. We are still in the shadow period for Mercury retrograde that happened in December. But once we get up to January 12th, that shadow is completely past. And even in the days leading up to the 12th, there's still so much energy for moving forward. This period of time between January 12th and March 9th is very critical to understand in the scheme of the year. January is one of the 3 months, well, it's actually January, February, up through March 9th, where you don't have any personal planets retrograde. Personal planets are the ones closest to us. So the ones that go retrograde are Mercury, Venus, and Mars. When one of those planets are retrograde, we're in a phase of going backwards and inwards. Okay, so kind of the tide is coming in. Okay, the emotional tides are coming in. Everything is going inward. We don't want to launch our boat off of an island when the tide is coming in. Okay, that's why I spend so much time helping you understand these energies. So between March and throughout the rest of the whole 2018, we have Mercury, Mars, then Mercury and Venus and Mercury 3 times being retrograde. So if you're planning on getting something out there, I'm going to light a little fire under your butt, or big fire under your butt. If you are intuitively drawn that now could be the time for you and that this is making sense with your being, it feels right, take advantage of this open launch pad between January, February, and into March. So even though the shadow period doesn't end until January 12th, there are amazing dates within, like from the 6th through the 9th especially. I'll go into more details about that. That if you're feeling really ready to start pushing some things out, then that would be great. Okay, so now we understand that January is my favorite month of the year for launching things, for pushing things out, for starting things, for making new decisions, for, doing big things. It's also one of the only months in the year that the tides energetically are not coming in. So that's the first thing to know. The second thing to know is that we have 2 full moons this month. This is going to be a very emotional month, for better and worse. Sometimes emotions are high because something is awesome, like this full moon that we start out with. We start the year out with January 1st or 2nd, depending on your time zone. We start out the year with a full moon in Cancer. So that brings fullness, completion, fruition to everything with home, family, maternal energies, mothers, mothering, houses, real estate, anything having to do with home and family and maternal energy. And for some people, that could be this wonderful coming together of family, wonderful family holiday time. It could be some culmination for some housing related thing. So it could be the emotional tides are running high in a positive way. It could also be some conflict or strife or drama or something coming to a head as it relates to one of those sectors. The second full moon is also, by the way, that first full moon, the Cancer one, is the first supermoon of the year. A supermoon is when the moon is closer to the earth and it looks like it looks bigger in the sky. Sometimes you look out at the full moon and you're like, oh my gosh, why is it so big? It feels like we're, on a different planet looking at a different moon. that is a supermoon. So we've got only 2 supermoons this year, and both of them are in January. So if you understand that obviously the moon has gravitational effects on water, we're mostly water, the planet's mostly water, we feel those full moons. It's never questioned, even by mainstream people, that people are affected by the full moon, okay? It makes me bonkers to not see how people don't extrapolate out, like, okay, if we're affected by the moon that way, obviously we're just as affected by the rest of the planetary transit that way, whatever, but that's another topic. But either way, this full moon is a super moon, so it's going to be more emotional, it's going to be more powerful. The second full moon of the month, which is called a blue moon, and it's also a super moon. So we have 2 super moons in the year. We have 2 super moons in January. We have 2 full moons in January, and they're both these crazy, powerful moons. And the second one on the 31st is this full moon in Leo, which is also a total lunar eclipse, which is visible throughout a lot of the world. Pretty much everyone in the United States will have some view of this. Lots of Northeast Europe, Asia, Australia, Russia. There are many places in the world that will actually see this total lunar eclipse. So a blue moon has different definitions depending on who you ask. But one of the definitions is that there's a second full moon in a calendar month. All right, so that's the definition we're using here. Also, sometimes when there's a second full moon in a sign, that would be a blue moon. But in this case, we've got the full moon in Cancer and the full moon in Leo, and the second one is the blue moon. So obviously we have the saying, once in a blue moon. These blue moons don't happen very often. It takes a couple of years for that difference between the lunar calendar, which is about 28 days, or the lunar month, and the calendar months. There's about 11 days difference in, the lunar calendar to the regular calendar that we use. So when that lines up after a couple of years, a little over 2 years usually, that's when the blue moon happens. So this is a very special time. This is a very momentous time. This eclipse is going to remove things from our lives for better and worse. This is the end of an era for many, many areas in life. And we'll talk about, well, actually I did talk about that in the, where this might hit for your sign in the sign report before this general transit report. Okay, so some other input about the month of January is that we have dominating energies in Capricorn. So most of the personal planet energy is, moving into this Capricorn energy, which is steadfast, ambitious, practical, efficient. And it's interesting because Capricorn energies are very unemotional, right? But we've got these 2 full moons, these super moons with all of this emotion. So there'll be a lot more emotion going on compared to the general energies of Capricorn. Also boosting the Capricorn quotient here is that Saturn has recently, as of the end of December, moved into the sign of Capricorn, which is its own sign. So we talked about that in the report last month for December. So if you haven't listened to my December report, I talk about how Saturn changing signs will affect you. So Saturn moving into Capricorn is a whole new era of this, of the story of Saturn. So you can see this clean slate, this new start, this launching pad. And it's interesting because often eclipses will change trajectories. So although this is a really great open time for doing something, for acting on, doing something specific, launching something, the eclipses often change directions. So really tune into your intuition when you're feeling into what you're supposed to be bringing out and how many resources to put into bringing those things out. And do just expect some wild universal trajectory changes. So maybe you buy a house this month and then all of a sudden in a couple of weeks from the eclipse, you get a job offer somewhere else and now you have this house that you just got. You can see there's a lot of that kind of energy going on where you're moving forward doing something, but then the universe takes you whoop over here. So that's going to be a pretty wild time. So let's talk more about the breakdown of the month. And you can get a written version of some of the highlights that I'm about to discuss when you go to anniehelpsyou.com and sign up for my email newsletter. Or you could also go to cozybysweetstarlight.com. When you sign up for the newsletter at either of those places, it's the same newsletter. Cozybysweetstarlight.com also gives you a written version of your sign's horoscope, usually focusing on something different than what I talk about in the videos. So it's a nice supplement. So when you go to one of those two websites, you can sign up for the free email newsletter, and a month before, just like I do these videos a month before, you'll get a written version of the dates to note, the energies that are happening on that day. So if you like to have that for your organization, then definitely go there and do that. So we'll talk about some of the highlights. Okay, so we talked about the full moon starting at the beginning. There's, on that same day, we have an amazing aspect with the sun in Capricorn making a nice aspect to Neptune. And this is a transit that heightens intuitive sensitivities. You know, it's dreamtime insights can be accentuated at this time. It's just a nice dreamy transit. So that's happening at the same time as this supermoon, full moon in Cancer. The other aspect that's happening on January 2nd is Uranus is going direct. Whenever a planet goes direct, there's always there's awkwardness. It's like when you're going to make a U-turn, you have to slow down and you have to going again and you have to get up to speed, and it's just very awkward. But this sleeping giant Uranus, the bringer of change, which eclipses always remind me of the energy of Uranus because they bring things out of the blue and they just kind of have sudden endings, sudden beginnings. And Uranus is very much like that. So now with Uranus awakening, there's this, it's the bringer of swift and radical change, and it's sort of getting its footing again. So expect things that have been working in the backdrop to really start pushing forward with this energy. Then on January 3rd, there's a beautiful aspect with Venus in Capricorn and Neptune. And this is a sweet romantic aspect. You know, it's their idealism blends beautifully with practicalism, and it's just a nice blending of opposites in a harmonious way. On January 6th, we have Mercury making a beautiful aspect with Uranus and Aries, and this often brings exciting news or innovative ideas. This is going to be a month full of news. News is going to come in from all kinds of different transits, for better and worse. You know, lots of surprises. So when Mercury and Uranus combine, this is a really good time to do technology-related things. We're still in the shadow of Mercury retrograde, the post-shadow. Like I said, you know, because at the end of December, it went direct. But until January 12th, we still have Mercury a little bit shaky. But starting around now, around the 6th, there's enough oomph forward that if you're feeling like it's time to get some stuff done, it's time to get a new phone, it's time to get a new car, it's time to launch your projects, you can start putting cogs in the wheel, moving things forward at this time. Also on January 6th, we have Mars in Scorpio conjunct Jupiter in Scorpio. Whenever we have a conjunction, there's a possibility for positive effects and there's a possibility for challenging effects. So, you know, Scorpio is this emotional, internal, deep energy. And so when you take actions now, because Mars rules action, it can go further because Jupiter is the great expander. It's kind of like taking your idea and then putting it on a rebounder and then bouncing it off even higher. That's the energy that Mars combining with Jupiter reminds me of. So again, this is another reason why I like this time for moving forward, especially with collaborations or Scorpio related things. Also, very close by on January 8th, we have the Sun and Venus conjunct with each other in Capricorn, and they're both making a beautiful aspect to Jupiter and Scorpio. So here we have Mars make a notable aspect to Jupiter. Now we have the Sun and Venus. The Sun rules your vitality, your creativity, and Venus rules love, beauty, and money. So they're combined in practical Capricorn. Okay, so that's amazing for business things. Then they're making a beautiful aspect to the expander of our world, Jupiter. So there are lots of opportunities to shine creative brilliance and make money doing it, and there are probably some romantic potentials rolled into that mix. On that same day, we have Mars in Scorpio making a nice aspect to Pluto. So this transit can expand the powers of penetration and focus and productivity, penetrating focus and productivity. So if you have to get stuff done, coming together to share or collaborate, it increases the potential. So you can see some similar energies coming together at this time. That's why I'm kind of giving a green light based on concurrence with your intuition, that if you want to start moving forward now, even though we're not completely out of the shadow period, there's amazing opportunity to do that. Okay, so also this merging of Mars and Pluto with this nice aspect could come from joining or manifest in joining forces with either someone in a powerful position or powers of the unseen realm, so esoteric focus. On January 9th, we have the Sun in Capricorn conjunct Venus and Pluto, and the Sun and Venus making a nice aspect to Mars in Scorpio. So we've got now a huge lineup, all of these things that we see kind of piling up on top of each other. There's more of that. So creativity and money and action are blending together beautifully at this time. And we've got just, female and male energies blending harmoniously. If there are any challenges that come up, the solutions will also be nearby. This is a very intense time, but it's also a very practical and grounded time because there's so much energy in Capricorn. It's like it wants practical solutions. It wants outcomes. It wants fruition of ambition. Between January 12th and 13th, we have Mercury in Capricorn and Saturn conjunct. So whenever there's a conjunction, there's an amplification of both of the energies, and then you take into consideration the sign. So Mercury a lot of times represents news. Saturn a lot of times represents a buzzkill. And so like some harsh reality could come in at this time. But alternatively, we can see this as a manifestation of a firming up, like something made tangible. Expression, Mercury expression made tangible, Saturn made permanent, something like that. So it could be harsh or be a bummer, or it could just be a hard-working energy that really solidifies some things for you. So again, I like all of this energy for establishing something important, making important decisions. So at the same time, Venus in Capricorn is squaring Uranus in Aries. So because of this, even though I like this time for moving forward, the way these kind of, we live in a dual reality. So there's this great stuff and then there's this more challenging stuff. It's going on at the same time. And you really have to feel for that sweet spot in between in your personal flow, basically. So Venus and Uranus coming together usually brings jolts or surprises having to do with your self-esteem. It could have to do with a love, a romantic relationship, a jolt or a surprise, a conflict within a romantic relationship. It could be a money jolt. It's very common when Venus and Uranus get together in this configuration that all of a sudden you have to pay $600 for a new washing machine or something like that, like an expense that comes out of the blue. And it's never a good time for that, right? So that's going on at the same time. So you just want to feel in with all of these energies with launches. Don't push forward for the sake of itself. Just really dial in and make sure that you have a personal flow on that day that you're trying to do something so that you're not pushing against the tides. On the same day, Venus is also making a nice aspect to Chiron. So this blends intuition with the tangible reality. So again, we're talking about this. If you can just really not let will be the only force at play here, this month is one that's really good for being active and using your will to do some important things. But we don't want to let that domination of the material will focus interfere with the intuitive part of things. Okay, so that's what this aspect is saying. It's saying that you can move around the challenges if you're paying attention. All right. Also, you can look to see how softness or beauty can be added to the concrete reality. This aspect can bring in that focus. On January 14th, we have the Sun in Capricorn squaring Uranus. So again, this jostling to creative flow or jostling to your sense of identity. Tests could also come to something important you're working on now. So maybe you're starting to push some things forward and you're getting some pushback, and this aspect could represent that. The Sun in Capricorn is making a nice aspect to Chiron on the 15th. Okay, so we have lots of nice energy as far as being seen in a favorable light by someone, and possibly someone who could be helpful to you. On January 15th, we also have this awesome aspect with Jupiter making a 60-degree angle to Pluto. 60-degree angles, we have a lot of those this month. They're the kind of angle that is harmonious, but it also wants you to do something with them. A trine, which is a 120-degree angle, is an aspect that you could do something with, but it usually just brings stuff to you. You know, this 60-degree angle wants you, it gives you something, and then it's like, how I always describe this is that if you want to make a pie, and you have all the ingredients for the pie on the counter, the pie doesn't make itself. And these 60-degree angles bring all the ingredients for something, but then you have to go ahead and use them to make something. So Jupiter, the great expander in Scorpio, making a nice aspect to Pluto in practical Capricorn, gives the chance for success as a natural byproduct of hard work and self-development. So the more you look within, the more, and that's the Scorpio energy, the more your Capricorn energy, which is your place in the world, your material efforts and accomplishments, that can naturally just come into fruition. So any work that you put towards making positive life changes, even up until this point, will help to make this aspect go further. But you might have to take some action on it. Okay. On January 16th, we have the new moon at almost 27 degrees of Capricorn. So this is a powerhouse of a new moon. It is conjunct, which is right next to Pluto. Okay, so it's also right next to Venus. So that brings powerful transformation potentials, especially as it relates to self-esteem or money or romance. There's also a 60-degree angle to Jupiter, which expands the awesome potentials much further. But again, there might be an action required. Then there's a nice aspect, a 60-degree angle to Mars, which brings power into action. And then there's a nice aspect to Chiron, which brings great potentials to be, again, seen in a positive light by people who could be assistive to you or people whose opinions matter to you. And possibly could promote your work or what you're trying to do. So there's all these really good aspects with the new moon. And then, of course, there's that one little wild card, which is Uranus. And so the new moon is also squaring Uranus, which brings this uncomfortable wild card into this otherwise perfect mix. So just look out for that little dinger. On January 18th, we have a beautiful aspect with Mars and Chiron, and this can bring major power to look for meaning and solutions and the chance for powerful and permanent healing of a fractured reality. Okay, so Chiron represents this fractured reality, this woundedness, this issue that is a plague for us. And when Mars comes together, again, Mars rules action. When Mars comes into the mix in this nice aspect trine, it gives this chance for the powerful and permanent healing. On the 24th, we have Mercury and Pluto conjunct. Again, we talked about this before when Mercury was conjunct with Saturn. A conjunction amplifies the energies of both parties, both sides. Or both, well, all of it, basically. In this case, it would be the same sign because it's a conjunction, but the planets. So Mercury rules communication, information, creative expression. Pluto rules transformation. So powerful news and powerful expression is more likely at this time. And it's not particularly emotional because it's in Capricorn. So it could be just a very strong expression that's run into something permanent. Pushing out into something permanent. You see me using the word permanent a lot this month. That's because the energy of Capricorn is one of permanence. It's something that you're building. It's something that you're growing. It's something that is material. And there's just so much energy of the immaterial blending with the material. So that's why you keep hearing me use that word this month. So this is an amazing energy for important business and other moves. And it's really supportive of rightly placed ambition. Okay, the reason why we say rightly placed is because with Pluto, Pluto rules power. And not everybody, or no, I mean really all humans sometimes don't use their power in the right way, right? This is a human issue that we're working on. So the more you can use your power in the right way, when you have aspects like this, the more it's supported for positive outcomes that are free from negative karma. On the 25th, we have Mercury and Capricorn making a beautiful aspect, again a 60-degree angle that requires some action, to Jupiter in Scorpio. So this combination can bring a greatly expanded reverberation of your voice. So whether it's written or spoken or whatever your medium is, Mercury ruling your expression and Jupiter ruling this expansion, you have this resounding effect. So it's magical for really being heard, especially by someone in a position to assist or collaborate. And you'll hear this theme again and again this month too. All of this energy in Scorpio, Jupiter and Scorpio making aspects with all of these planets, that's the energy of someone assisting you, someone being in the perfect place to assist you, or you being in the perfect place to assist someone else. It favors collaboration. Between the 27th and the 28th, Mercury in Capricorn is making a square to Uranus. So this transit can increase the likelihood for surprising and stressful news, but some softness or ultimate healing outcomes are also increased because Mercury is also making a nice aspect to Chiron at the same time. So this sweet aspect to Chiron can soften this a little bit, but we have quite a few jolts this month with Uranus where it's like, up, surprise news, up, surprise things going on with money, up, surprise, and then we have the eclipses, which often bring the big surprises. So speaking of the devil or the angel, however you want to look at this, the full moon, the super moon in Leo at 11 degrees of Leo. Also a lunar eclipse, total lunar eclipse, can bring notable completion, culmination, fruition, or drama in the houses that it occurs in for you, which we talked about in the individual sign report. But the general closure, drama, culmination, fruition, completion for everyone is occurring in the energy of Leo. And Leo has to do with children. It has to do with creative projects. It has to do with romance, romantic partners. It could be a permanent partner, but sometimes it could be just someone more casually, romantically that you're together with. This also is any creative project, and it also can rule addictions. So something is coming to a close. So this is an amazing time to kick a bad habit. This is an amazing time to end a project. And you see how nicely this full moon goes with this theme of getting your things out into the world. We're in this open window to push things out. And here this eclipse is coming, bringing an end to something. So many people are going to have a creative project come to a close and be birthed, and then they're on to the next thing or the next level of that thing. So these are the things that are most on my mind for the general transits. Wow, what a month. So happy new year. Definitely go to anniehelpsyou.com and check out my new full moon reveal and release ceremony blog series. I'll have that for all the full moons now. You can also check out my Making Powerful Wishes in Each New Moon series, which is on anniehelpsyou.com. If you go to cozybysweetstarlight.com, you can see written horoscopes that are very succinct. I am not known for my succinctness because I'm a teacher of astrology and I love to teach, and so my videos are long. But on cozybysweetstarlight.com, the reports there are very short, very succinct, very well organized, very easy to take in, and they also include great reads for each month for each sign. And they often talk about something different in the chart than I'm talking about in the videos, so you get a more well-rounded picture of what your astrological experiences may be. Also check out my husband, B.R. Newman's Taroscopes. So you can go to iamhelios.com, iamhelios.com, to see what other additional information he might have for you with his tarot. So I hope you have a wonderful month, and I'll see you next month. Bye.